Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Our beloved Papa had so much love for Ramnam that when he heard this name sung anywhere, he would go into ecstasy. That was his love.
Sriram beturtarla kutini parene. Petundukla.
With such a love and devotion for Ram, there was no wonder that he could realize oneness with Ram in such a short time. Now we find that in spite of repeating Ramnam for hours together, unfortunately we don't feel any or even a tinge of ecstatic joy that used to well up his heart in those days. So we wonder how this chanting of Ramnam, or rather why this chanting of Ramnam does not give as much joy to us as it gave beloved Papa. The simple reason is that he was very receptive to it, and his mind was purified to a great extent, and his love for Ram was so intense that the very mention of Ram's name opened the floodgates of his heart and made him swim in the ocean of love and joy. We unfortunately have closed our heart so tightly that the gate is kept locked and the love within does not find place to come out. Then what should we do? We can only take refuge in Ramnam, chant it more and more, and pray to God to give us that intense love and devotion to Him, so that we may have less love for the worldly things. The more our love for God, the more our devotion for God is, the less will be our attraction to worldly things. We are not getting the joy of Ramnam because our mind is not for the higher values of life, but is attracted by the sensory pleasures of the world. So the downward pull is so strong that we are unable to resist it and succumb to such pull. forgetting for the time being all about the higher life. When we consider or think of the struggle Mother Papa had passed through, we get frightened and wonder how it is possible for a human being he was chanting Ramnam day and night, literally, without sleep even. Here, you should also have noted that it was not merely chanting Ramnam all the 24 hours, but you must consider how much concentration he had while chanting the name. It is a common complaint nowadays that when chanting the name, the devotees feel that the mind is wandering here and there and thinking of all worldly things. So the chanting goes on one side, but at the same time the mind goes on wool gathering, as they say. Then how can the chanting be effective? We cannot expect good results out of such chanting, even though the chanting goes on for hours together, and days together, and years together. But if we can do the chanting as our beloved Papa did, with full concentration, with full our devotion for God, and with no thought of anything of the world, we are sure to get the same results in as short a time as beloved Papa did get. So what is lacking in us is the real love and devotion and concentration. This we have to admit. Many have been saying that they have been chanting Ramnam for many years with no tangible results. If results are to be seen, we have to see that we have better concentration and we develop more love and devotion for God. Now again the question arises, how to get the concentration and how can we develop more love and devotion for God? Again, it is only by our prayer to God. If we feel that our mind is wandering here and there and are not able to concentrate on God, let us pray to Him, O Lord, make my mind dwell on your feet. Let it not run after the worldly pleasures. Let my love for you be more than my love for anything worldly. Let me remember you constantly. Make me take your name constantly. Like that, keep up the prayer. The prayer itself will bring concentration. Repeat this prayer very often. And during the prayer, because it is addressed to God Himself, at least at that moment, the mind will be taken away from all worldly thoughts, and you will be fully concentrating the mind on God. So this prayer, if repeated very often, will bring better concentration and also increase your love and devotion for God. We cannot also expect immediate results of our sadhana, because the progress in our sadhana depends upon many factors. The progress of a person who is just beginning in his spiritual practices and had no practice in his earlier life, and that only by the grace of God that he was prompted to start the spiritual practice in his life. For him, naturally, the progress will be very slow as he begins from the infant class. He has to learn the alphabets slowly, understand things very slowly, and thus progress. He may appear to progress very slowly, but all the same progress will be there. But another man, or another devotee, we call him, who had been doing spiritual practices in his earlier life and had accumulated a lot to his credit, will begin his sadhana in this birth. He may not have to start from the infant class. He starts from the high school class, and you will find that he progresses much faster. That was the case with our beloved Papa and also our Pujya Mataji. Both of them had done so much in their previous births that they had to do very little in this birth. There are very, very few cases where a spiritual aspirant had realized God as a result of a couple of years sadhana, as in the case of our beloved Papa and also Mataji. So let us at least do the sadhana from wherever we have started, with all love and devotion, and pray to God to make our sadhana intense and love for Him, increase our love and devotion for Him, so that our progress may be fast, and do in this life itself as much as possible, so that at least if we are not able to attain the goal in this birth, at least in the next birth, you will be able to start in a better way and attain the goal. It does not mean that we should wait for another birth. We should try our best to see that this is our last birth and we are not forced to take birth again. I use the word forced in the sense that once we attain liberation, we are not bound to take birth, as we will have then finished the effects of all our karmas and nothing will be left to bring us back to the world. But at the same time, we will have the liberty to come back if we choose to do so, to serve humanity, to lead them on the spiritual path to the supreme goal. That will be left to us. It means God will choose us to come down again to lead humanity to the source of all beings. We need not be disappointed that we are not progressed much. We should be satisfied that all of us have been brought on the spiritual path and we are guided by our Master and by the Master's blessings we will surely progress. And that once we have been taken to the spiritual path, it is sure that God has chosen to reveal Himself in our hearts. It will be a question of sooner or later.
Swami, is sooner or later?
Right. So we need not be disappointed on that account, but at the same time we should not be satisfied with the progress that we are making. We should try to see that we go faster and faster and reach the goal in this birth itself, leaving no chance for another birth.